Look, you oversaw Google's ad products for years. What was it that sparked you to leave and start a competitor? What was Google doing that you didn't like or not doing well enough?
Well, I'd been at Google for over 15 years, and at one level, I wanted to change. I also came to realize that a world in which 2 or 3 companies were essentially the gatekeepers for merchants discovering any consumer at all wasn't a great one. And that advertising with things like tracking that just come along with it was just not a great environment. In many ways, Neeva was Vivek, my co-founder, and my attempt at a drastically simple product. We created Neeva as an ads-free private search engine paid by the customer because we thought that was the best way to create a high-quality product. And that's how Neeva came to be.
So it's $4.95 a month. What makes you think consumers are going to choose this when they can get it for free?
Well, I think what we've all learned over the past 10, 15 years is when the product is free, we are indeed the product. I mean, you've heard this before. But the fact of the matter is that search advertising is a giant market, $150 billion of revenue worldwide. And you know what? When advertisers pay search engines that kind of money, they turn around and charge you and me. And so we wanted to create a product that had a singular focus on doing right by you. This not only meant no ads or even any affiliate links, but it also frees us to create things like personalization. The experience is very customized for you. We focus on what are the best offers for Emily. How do we make sure that the search experience is the best that there is? Plus, we also support quality content on the internet. 20% of our gross revenue is reserved for supporting content. It's for all of these things, a product that is focused on you first and foremost, plus you support great content that we think will make us a convincing product at that kind of a price.
So you claim Neeva offers higher quality, more relevant results. How do you back that up? After, given that Google has spent decades perfecting its technology?
Well, that is a work in progress. Google has spent, tens of thousands of people and 15 years working on it. The fact of the matter is, like, not being forced to serve ads just gives us so much more freedom in terms of how we innovate. We build on some existing services, but we also add layers that let you personalize the product, something that a Google cannot do. A feature that we are working on right now is when you shop, we want you to be able to see things like retailers that only ethically source their products. For an advertising-based company, that's not an option. We can do whatever you like with the search result to serve you. It's in things like this, not on direct competition, but really focusing on what we can do that an ad-supported search engine cannot.
So as someone who's been inside Google and outside of it, do you think Google is anti-competitive?
Let's take it for granted that Google is a natural monopoly. There's nothing wrong with it, as you know.
So Google is a monopoly?
Well, Google has more than 90% market share, by definition. It's a monopoly with a small m. That's fine. We all know that. But when it comes to practices that preserve it, the thing that I worry about the most with Neeva is not our ability to create a quality product, is our ability to get visibility in front of consumers and potential customers like you. And so the DOJ probe is very much focused on what are the practices that prevent competition. We are not against, none of us is against size as a principle for a company, but when that is used to prevent competition, we have more of an issue with it. I think those are the things that we need to make sure, allow for competitors like Neeva to establish themselves.
How do Larry and Sergey and Sundar feel about you and your competitor?
I haven't talked to them about it, but obviously I have lots and lots of friends at Google. There are some folks that say, hey, wish you had done this within. Others understand why it's hard to create things like this within, and you need a clean break. But I would say the vast majority of people agree with the need for a product like Neeva that is just simpler, easier to understand, and more focused on delivering value day in and day out.
So how aggressive then? I know you said monopoly with a small m, that's still a monopoly. How aggressive do you think the government should be in trying to rein in the dominance of big tech and Google in particular?
I think the fact of the matter is, for the past 50 years, essentially, like, antitrust action has been asleep. Our government has been asleep at the wheel when it comes to this. We've also had this infatuation with tech companies that, we thought they could do no wrong. And we realized that as these companies grow and grow, they do have a stifling effect on competition. So we do need to make sure that there is more competition. Let me tell you, as a VC, I am not going to invest in an ad tech company. There is no money to be made out there. But that can happen to many other verticals if we don't take strong action to make sure that there is continuing competition.
Do you think Google should be broken up?
That's for the DOJ to decide. We just want there to be a world in which it's easier for other companies to compete.
We know that the DOJ has been interviewing a number of Google's competitors, the competitors that there are. Have you ever spoken with any government officials or anyone at Neeva?
We are subject to the same subpoenas that other people are. And when the government comes knocking on your doors asking for information, you have to provide it.
What's your response to the judge throwing out the Facebook suit yesterday? I wonder if that feels like a big setback for antitrust scrutiny in general.
It is not. That case was hard to begin with because it reached back into history so much. I actually think, and several of our representatives have said that, I think this will actually increase their desire to pass laws that can actually let people like the FTC take action. So I actually think that it is a temporary setback that is going to result in laws actually undergoing change and the government just having more tools to deal with these very large corporations.
What about the pressure that Google is under in the EU? I mean, there's also a big threat there, and I wonder, do you see that as being more potent than what the US government has thus far offered?
So they think about things like regulation very, very differently. They think about antitrust differently. As you know, we have a 130-year history of how we think about antitrust, and that has also changed in the past 50 years. So I think they have definitely exerted pressure. Europe has been at the vanguard of things like privacy to an extent that our government has not. But I think this is a collective problem. We have a ton of companies that are incredibly powerful across the globe. So I think this kind of probing to ensure that there is fair competition will end up benefiting everybody.
Blockchain and crypto enthusiasts have advanced the idea that blockchain technology, if it takes off, could eliminate the need for Google and Facebook altogether and eliminate privacy issues altogether. What would that mean for Neeva? I mean, are you thinking about the blockchain as you build this out? Or, given that this is technology that some are saying could disintermediate or make search engines in general useless?
I would say that's like 10 to 15 years away. We watch crypto protocols. We are happy that there are things like Coil. There are a mechanism for people to get paid. So we pay attention to things like that. We are happy, we will adopt these kinds of technologies whenever that is suitable for us. But I think we are at least 10 to 15 years away from them having a direct impact on day-to-day services like search that you and I use.